Welcome to Season 2 of the Craft Beer Connoisseurs Podcast. I'm Tyler. If you're new to the podcast, we're three friends and a producer who like to showcase craft breweries and their beers. Also, we like to end every episode with a short conversation on a variety of different topics. If you're not new to the podcast, well, welcome back. We will keep things similar to Season 1. After all, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. Whether you're new or returning, please feel free to listen to all of our Season 1 content. And remember, to follow us on Instagram at Craft Beer Cons, send a friend request on Untapped, or subscribe on YouTube at Craft Beer Connoisseurs. Also drop a comment, like, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Now for today's episode. Welcome to Craft Beer Connoisseurs. I'm Tyler.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Chris, and along with us today is producer Elliott.
Hello,
Welcome, Elliott.
Hey.
Welcome.
Yeah, so in today's episode, we're going to be reviewing some beers from Farm League Brewing out of Cambridge, Ontario.
And in terms of beers, we will be reviewing two of them. The first is the Kolsch named Big Ticket, and the second is a West Coast IPA named West Coast Hoppers.
Ooh.
Nice. And then to close out the episode, we're going to be talking about Major League Baseball's new CBA and how baseball is back, baby.
All right, and we're back. Inning number one.
Play ball.
Oh, that's nice. I should have done that.
Aggressive.
That's good.
Aggressive. Where was the national anthem?
It was in between the break.
Yeah.
You're going to see that, right? The TV goes away. It's commercial.
Yes,
national
correct.
anthem.
Right,
Yeah,
true.
there
Yeah,
you go.
absolutely.
So Farm League Brewing is located at 295 Ainsley Street South in Cambridge. Some might call it Galt.
Like the cans.
Yeah,
cans
the brewery
say
does say that they're in Galt. Yeah.
And we know that the cans can never be wrong.
Right. Never seen that before.
Yeah, right? So with its doors opening in the summer of last year, and then the tap room was kind of a little bit delayed in September, Farm League resides in an over 100-year-old building.
Yeah.
It used to be a knife factory. Ooh.
Oh.
On the cutting edge, if you will. It also belonged to Grand River Brewing, which they were actually bought by Magnata in 2018 and moved all of their operations to Vaughan in 2020. So I've driven past this place numerous times. We'll get there a little bit later on, I'm sure. But
Yeah. So the brewery is owned by four individuals, Colin McKinnon, Mike Mayo, Matt Bosmer, and so we'll kind of get into a little bit later, but Brett and I actually chatted with Matt a little bit,
did,
and
yes.
Tyler Campbell.
What a name.
Yeah.
Yeah, good last name, Campbell.
Soups on.
Yeah, so all four of them were friends in university. You know, they were crushing the James Reddy 5.5s. You know, not really into the craft beer at that point. But then they all, after university, worked at Ontario breweries. Like Muskoka and Lake of Bays for Colin. Matt worked at Collective Arts, Tyler at Wellington, and Mike at Fixed Gear.
Oh.
So then after university, they all, continued to keep in touch, ventured into their own, little things, but continued to get together, stay connected, talk about beer. And then, they'd always kind of talked about having a dream of creating beers, and then COVID hit, and they, a lot of their regular jobs kind of took a pause. So they're like, let's get this thing going.
Absolutely. It's kind of like us, in terms of COVID hit, and then we decided to do a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Just one question, and I don't
Yeah.
know if it's mentioned later on, but did we find out where they went to school?
Guelph.
Guelph.
Yes,
Okay.
Guelph. I
All
think
right.
2 or 3 of them are actually still residing in Guelph.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
So, talks, kind of business plans, zoning issues, all stuff that Tyler really enjoys, were discussed. And the original plan
I
was...
love talks.
So the original plan was to rent it out of a farm, hence the name that they fell in love with. But an ecological study by the region of Waterloo prevented them from doing so. And so they hooked up with a local realtor, looked at properties in Guelph, Paris, but through a bit of luck found that the Grand River building was up for sale but was unlisted.
Nice.
So an offer was made and bam, bought the building.
Yeah.
Right? So getting equipment was the next hurdle.
That's important for a brewery.
Yeah, you do need to have equipment
Okay.
to brew beer.
This is good to know.
So when Aber was kind of going through their rebrand, if you will, their equipment was up for purchase, including a 200-barrel brew system, which can make 23,000 liters of beer, and was quickly snagged up.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not bad for a weekend.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, it's all like 5 days, right? So this is the best part, and Matt was having a good time telling us this story.
Yeah.
So the glycol chiller, which allows breweries to lower the temperature of the product dramatically over a short period of time, was actually on the roof of Abe's main location, Uptown Waterloo. So at King and Victoria, if you're
Uptown
familiar.
Waterloo.
So they had to apply to shut down the road, get construction crews out with signs and flags just to get it removed. But then when Matt attempted to walk into the region of Waterloo office to apply for the permit, nobody was there because it was in the middle of a lockdown and everybody was working from home.
Yeah.
So it was a real struggle, but they eventually did pull it off the roof. And obviously now makes its residence at Farm League.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like he was, like you said, having a good time telling us that story. It was basically, like you said, shut down the road, get one of those, wide load trucks, bring it to their location in Galt. So yeah, pretty cool. So the name Farm League, we had asked Matt kind of like, what's up with that name? So like Brett mentioned, originally they kind of wanted to have the beer on a farm or have the brewery on a farm, right? So that kind of ties into the farm. And also they kind of view craft beer as like the minor leagues or the farm league to the major guys, the macro players, and kind of, an underdog. So they just kind of felt like even though they weren't going to be on a farm, that name still applied.
Yeah, which is nice. Now, we're going to kind of see some of the cans here shortly, but they had another friend. So this is just a friendly operation.
Lots of friends.
Brandon from Bluebird Design, which is actually based out of Guelph. So again, kind of tying in a lot of that Guelph, Cambridge area. And then Brandon does, most of the graphic design for the cans. So hopefully it's good.
Yeah, and so I think Matt said that Brandon went to university with them as well.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
must be nice to have more than 3 friends.
Yeah, I know, right? In the same friend group,
And everybody's under 30 too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Take us on.
Can't say that about us.
I can. I'm still under 30.
Yeah.
For
Well,
the other few months.
must be nice.
Did Brandon do any of the actual design for the Farm League logo itself? Do you find out?
Yes, he did do that for them.
I like it.
And we'll see. We're having one of their core beers today in the Kolsch, but you'll see in their core cans they're very simple. They just kind of have their logo and the and the name of the beer. But when we get into kind of their one-offs and seasonals, things like that, like the West Coast hoppers that
Brandon
we're having,
does a little bit more work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They tap them to do a little bit more.
And speaking of work that he put in, I know it's not listed here, but Matt was telling us a story about how they were a little bit slow in terms of their opening taproom day, so they needed a guy to play music, and Brandon's a musician. So he sat there and played 7 hours straight from like 1 to 8 because they couldn't line any other musicians.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny.
You think that his hands, would be the thing that you need to, protect, right? For doing the Bluebird designs kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you're out here, saying we don't have an insurance policy on you, but get there and start strumming a guitar for 7 hours.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I think he took a few breaks in between, but you can only play Wonderwall so many times.
That's true.
So inside of the brewery, because I was the person to go and get everything. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So string lights, smooth wood tables, exposed brick. It's a great spot to sit and have a flight. So I had the Pils Have Eyes, which is a Pilsner. Who could have thought? Their Brave Noise collaboration, which is Pale Ale. Fun Police, which is a fun name for an IPA. And their Sundive Cranberry Gosa. Plus I had a little taster of their Black IPA. Great atmosphere, good friendly staff service, everything else in between. Wish you guys could have came, but obviously, different things happen.
Yeah.
But next time, Tyler, when you drive by the building, you should pull into the building.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to go by it all the time when I was on my way to Kitchener for like baseball, right? When I was living in Brantford and heading down that way, and I was kind of cut off, and instead of going down, I believe it's Water Street. So kind of like do a little dart around.
So what's the kind of size of the brewery? Like
About this.
Yeah. No, I'd say probably fit between 60 and 70 people in there.
Okay.
So yeah.
Decent size then,
Absolutely.
because I did a little Google Maps street view of the building, and it looks like a pretty big building, but obviously a lot of it is used for the actual brewing process, right?
For sure. And in terms of beers, there's actually 34 beers that were created by Farm League with an overall rating of 3.69. So they believe that craft beer is a community, and they have had a lot of collabs, but also feel as though a friendly little competition never hurt anybody.
Yeah.
So it's Farm League for
exactly,
you.
right? Yeah. So they've collaborated with the Old Galt Bottle Shop in Cambridge for their Down by the River Pale Ale, with Powerhouse out of London for their Memories at Bamberg, which is an amber lager, with Wavemaker out of Cambridge for their Grizzy, which is a grisette, and then 2 collabs with previous breweries that we've had on the episodes. So Counterpoint, I know Chris, big fan.
Yep. Big fan.
So they made a Dead Hippie double IPA. You were really excited to see that in your treat bag today.
I did, yeah.
And from Good Lot, the Highway Hopnosis, which is a Bavarian Pilsner.
Nice.
There you go. So do we want to kind of get into beers that we've had there? I think this should be probably a very extensive section here. So let's start with I don't know, Brett. Why don't we start with you?
Hello, that's me. So I've had 6.
You waved, just so everybody knows. You did wave.
I'm Brett.
They need to know. So I've had 6. So 4, as previously mentioned, in my flight, because I didn't untap the taster of the black IPA. And then I've also had the nondescript mint chocolate stout, as well as the nondescript chocolate peanut butter cup stout.
Can you describe it?
Well, they're dark.
Okay, cool. Okay.
And they have the flavors of a stout with
And one of those you had while we were chatting with Matt, right?
So one of those I did have with the chat with Matt,
What
and it was
a
actually
sucker,
right.
Oh,
it was actually the
my
highest. It's actually the
goodness.
highest rated one that I had. It's
because of the
4.25.
company you had with it,
Maybe
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Chris was lovely, and Matt as well. Now I did grab you guys a couple things from Farm League.
Yes, you did.
However, in producer Elliott's is one down.
Wow.
One of them, when I was packaging everything, did hit my floor in the garage and smash everywhere.
I think the disdain between you and producer Elliott is going to come up a little bit later on, so maybe that's a little foreshadowing. But yeah, for everybody else, the beers that we've had, Chris, can you count on your hand how many you've had, please?
Yeah, Big Donut.
Okay, yeah, I've had 0 zilch, and we've got Elliott with
Also 0.
nada.
Absolutely
and
nothing.
But hey, you guys are going to have a lot more today because there's stuff waiting for you. In terms of beers, they do have a lot of things coming out on their way. So German Weiss, a Hefeweizen, along with a sour that is aging in a tequila barrel. That's going to be brought out soon, possibly with some adjunct thrown into it, maybe some lime for a Cinco de Mayo.
We're going to get a lot of that for Elliott because he loves his tequila.
Loves it.
Yeah.
And if you feel like it, you can shoot them a text to see what's going on.
Nice.
It's on the cans, so you'll see that.
There you go.
Their bottle shop.
Yeah, just keep going. I was going
Hey!
to say maybe Chris might want an opportunity
No, I'll
to
let
say
Chris
something.
go.
There you go.
Well,
Chris,
yeah, their bottle shop is open every day of the week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday from 12 to 6, Wednesday, Thursday from 12 to 8, and Friday, Saturday from 12 to 10. Tap room is only open Wednesday, Thursday, 12 to 8, Friday, Saturday, 12 to 10, and Sunday, 12 to 6. And then delivery. They do local delivery within 50 kilometers.
Okay.
There's a $10 charge on orders below 40, but it is free over 40 on Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Collaborate with people. Get that free delivery.
Nice.
Absolutely. So we're going to link to their information so you can collaborate on our social media.
All right, let's go. Let's try some beers, boys. Big thank you to the wonderful staff at Farm League for recording the beers for today's episode.
Every single one of them.
Yep,
Yes,
every single one.
every staff member.
Yes, and obviously Matt for the hour-long chat. It was a good time for sure.
It was a good time.
And you only went through the one beer in that time?
I did. He went through both of them.
Nice.
He had both the Kolsch and the West Coast hoppers while he was talking to us.
I like that. That's cool.
He wanted to give us some notes and everything like that. So the first beer we're having is Big Ticket, which, as we've noted, is a Kolsch. 5.2 ABV, and the IBUs are unlisted. And Matt kind of made a point that they don't really keep tabs of the bitterness within their beers.
Yeah.
So every beer that they have is not going to have an IBUs listed.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the description of this beer from Farm League is a lagered ale inspired by the historic Kolsch beer of Cologne, Germany. Crisp, unique, subtle, but oh so drinkable. This German-style Kolsch is a beer hybrid bringing the best of both worlds between a classic ale and a crisp lager. This was their first beer that they made. That's not part of the description. That's just facts.
Wow.
It's true. Tyler, do you want to throw some other facts? about this
Spitting
beer?
facts, yeah. So this information comes from the ticket office. So if you're going to go pick up the Big Ticket, that's where you want to get this from.
Yep. Roll call.
Yeah, exactly. This is an all barley brew. Okay.
It is.
So we've got Cascade, we've got the Holler 2, we got the Magnum hops, utilizing basic kind of German Kolsch yeast, and then lagered for 3 to 4 weeks for that optimum flavor body and that crisp, clean finish, in which you mentioned previously. And so this is the one thing we kind of harp on lagers a little bit, right? Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, that lagering process does take time, and there's a whole lot of effort that goes into making a beer like this. So
Absolutely.
we have to appreciate that.
Definitely. So on Untapped, you can follow us at the Craft Beer Connoisseurs and on Instagram at Craft Beer Cons. So the overall rating on Untapped for Big Ticket is 3.62 out of 5 bottle caps and 182 check-ins.
All right.
Now the can is 120 check-ins, right around that average of 3.63. Draft has 23, a little lower, 3.58, and then Taster has 14 with 3.47, so quite a bit lower. Five out of fives for this beer on Untapped, so pretty decent.
We're missing a couple of check-ins when you do the math on it, but you know,
well,
that's how that
I
usually
think
works.
Not everyone chooses their serving style, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, I will say it's kind of like my batting average. 5 out of 182.
Yeah, and the one thing too is if individuals do have private accounts, you don't get to see the information.
Right.
So that's kind of just how that kind of
Like Elliott.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Very private person.
Not private enough. All right, let's grab our beers. Big ticket, so I got to use 2 hands on the can. And then one here for the glass. Let me put that between my legs. Yeah, that's great. All right, and let's open her up. Ooh, and these are super cold, might I add.
Mm-hmm.
They are cold.
The refreshment of my garage is where they sat.
Nice.
Yeah. So we are drinking this beer actually out of a Pilsner glass today, which you can drink a Kolsch out of. Usually it's recommended to drink it out of a Stang glass, but unfortunately we don't have that. But make sure to use your proper glassware.
We're excited if anybody wants to send us, a set of 4.
We'd be happy
Stang
with
glass.
that.
There you go.
There we go. All right, what do you guys see here on this? Take a look on the eyes, on the nose, and then we'll do the swallow later.
Pretty clean, but I would say it's a little less, see-through than I would have expected, kind of from a Lagerdale, which is fine.
Yeah, a little cloudy.
Yeah, a little bit cloudy, right?
Like it's got that kind of apple juicy kind
Apple
of feel
juicy
to it.
vibe.
Yeah,
guess,
that's a
you know,
good description. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yes. Well, apple juicy.
Yeah.
Best description you can come up with.
Yeah.
You can definitely see it's a good carbonation level.
Yes.
The head has kind of subdued pretty quickly, I
Yeah,
think,
it
on
was
all of
quick.
ours,
Yeah.
which is typical.
And I poured pretty aggressively.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Tyler, you are a very aggressive pourer.
thank you. I don't know how to take that, but thank you. On the nose, what do you guys got?
Kind of a little bit of that maltiness coming through, but also like a tiny bit of sweetness, I think.
Yeah, I think it's almost like a sweet malt, if you will, kind
Yeah.
of coming through for me.
Yeah, guess we'll see when we taste it. Why don't we just do that then?
Let's just taste
You know
it.
what?
All right.
Best idea you've had so far.
Yeah.
It is oh so drinkable.
A lot of barley. So
All barley.
Let's see how that rolls.
It does help that it's super, super cold.
It is
It is
super
really
cold.
cold. Oh, wow.
Serving temperature almost 0.
Yeah. This is like frozen almost. But no, it's good. This is definitely a drinkable beer, definitely smooth. It's got that crispness from the lagering. And, it's not too aggressive anywhere in terms of like where the malt's not coming through aggressively, the hop's not coming through aggressively. It's just really balanced and nice and clean.
I was just going to use well balanced.
I was going to say the exact
Oh my God.
same. Wow, would you look at
Well, what are you
that?
going to say now?
I don't know. Yeah, it is very balanced. I find with some lagers, like the aftertaste, as it kind of like goes kind of through, you kind of get that. I don't know if it's just off-putting kind of taste a little bit sometimes with lagers. This doesn't have that, right? I almost feel like I'm getting pretty familiar with like the Hallertau hop, and I see that in this.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Oftentimes with a Kolsch, you'll get that almost like an apple kind of flavor coming through, like very faint. And I am getting that on this. And it's funny because when we talked to Matt, we were talking about how Kolsches are kind of similar to champagne. It's not actually a Kolsch unless it's brewed in the certain region in Germany. Yeah, I guess it is Cologne. Yep. But they were just like, oh, whatever. We'll just call it a Kolsch rather than a Lagerdale.
I think that's what everybody does, right?
Yeah, because I think people know what a Kolsch is.
Exactly.
So rather than a Lagerdale.
It's kind of like the typical thing of calling a cold IPA is a Lagerdale. Like it's kind of like those things like that.
Right.
So
Like a bubbly wine instead of a champagne, like a wine spritzer.
Yes,
thing,
exactly.
absolutely.
Fair enough. Yeah, this is it's a nice beer, and I think that something like this is, you can do with lagers, you can do with Kolsches, is have it super super cold, and really just truly appreciate that. Even having this on like a cold winter's day, I'm okay with that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we've had to endure some patios and what have you. This would be nice.
I think you could have this any time of year right
Yeah,
now.
no, for sure.
For sure. I think once, hopefully, they get their patio opened later this year, be a great place to sit there with like traffic coming through and just being able to crush a couple of these.
So what's this best paired with then?
Good times.
Good times. It's true. And you've earned it, you know?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
So
So-
the reason why he says that
Yeah.
is because it's on the can.
Yeah.
Right.
Very true. There's a lovely blue lawn chair in the can, if anybody's wondering as well. And then again, the can is just very
Looks
simple,
wicker.
basic.
Looks like a wicker lawn chair.
bluish. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Something you can pick up at Walmart.
Yeah, it's actually a very nice can art, actually.
Yeah.
So Elliott's actually touching on something that we spoke with Matt about, and that's basically this Kolsch being, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, almost like an introduction to craft beer for people who are not really used to, drinking craft beer. So he mentioned that their lager is the number one selling beer, but this is their second most selling beer because it's kind of like I said, that introduction to craft beer. People who drink, Coors, Bud Light, they're not going to be offended by drinking this compared to the West Coast.
And this is
hoppers
the one
we're
that does like the best in the restaurants and bottle shops when
Yeah.
they sell them over, right? So
Yeah. All right. Well, as previously mentioned, they do have their phone number for texting them on the side of the can. And you know what? I'll pour one out for the lawn chair at producer Elliott's place. We did have a friend, Phil. His lawn chair got absolutely decimated by a fire. So we'll pour one out for him. And we're going to roll into the top 5 flavor profiles. Number 1 is smooth. I think we all can agree on
I
that
agree
one,
with
right?
that, yeah,
I think this is
absolutely.
going to be a pretty easy 5 for us.
It's
think
pretty
so.
simple, yeah.
Number 2, clean.
very clean.
it's clean.
Very clean.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Number 3, crushable.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I could crush this, yeah.
Good. And 4, malty. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's there.
It's there. I don't know that it's a top 5 for me,
Okay.
but I might even put crisp in there.
I was going to say
Ooh,
crisp would be the
crisp.
one I put there.
Yeah.
Nice. And then number 5, light.
Yeah. It's definitely light.
It is light. All right. Well, keep the train rolling here. We're leaving the station. And what do we got?
Yeah, so
oh.
in terms of untapped user thoughts on this one, the first one comes from
Okay.
Trevor, Doc Stout. So obviously Trevor
Stout
likes
guy.
his stouts, drinking a Kolsch
Also
stout.
could be a doctor.
Oh, could be. On January 22nd, said some doughy, bready notes, light yeast as well. And Trevor gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
All right.
Interesting.
Now, Brian, handle Barley Boys with a Z.
Makes
What?
sense. He's going to like the all barley brew being a barley boy.
I was just
Yep.
thinking that.
You got to get a barley boy for a barley brew. On January 22nd, stated the following. Multi-doughy. Sounds familiar.
A couple of doughy, yeah.
Yeah, couple doughboys over here. Baker's spice encrusted apple, a little deep for a Kolsch, but a nice drinker. And gave it a 3 out of 5, or 3.5 out of 5, sorry.
Interesting.
All right, so for myself, I'll get the party started as we move into the 7th inning stretch here shortly. I'm going to give it a 4. I'm going to give it a 4.
Yes. I was kind of stuck in between, so I'm going to go with a 3.75. I wasn't sure about that or a 4, but I'm
Okay.
going 3.75.
So when I had this back in July, I rated it a 3.75. That is going to change. Also, maybe because I drank it out of the can the first time. Now I'm using the proper glassware. I'm going to give this one a 4. Producer Elliott, really slow, might be getting hung up there, but he's going to give it a 3.5.
All right.
Tyler, what team overall score does that give us?
Yeah, that's going to give us a 3.8125. 3.8125. We're going to round that down to a 3.75.
Should we? We have 2 4s, though.
We do, but if you take a look at the math, right? 3.75,
Yes.
3.8125.
The math rounds down, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Damn math.
yeah, we'll round that down to 3.75.
we
and,
will. And what we're going to do is we're going to go on to beer number 2. All right, we're sliding into second here.
And we're safe.
We are safe for our second beer.
Upon further review, still safe.
Wow.
Yep. And it is Farm League's newest release. This one is a West Coast IPA. And after a very extensive Google/Instagram search, the brewery decided to call it West Coast Hoppers because in their eyes, no one else had taken that sweet name yet. So this one comes in at 6.3 ABV. And again, no IBUs listed because that's not really something that they're tracking.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we got to thank Jesse James for this one, right?
Correct.
Good.
Or Paul Jr., Paul Sr.,
Yeah, no, there we go. This beer is a reach back to the roots of a West Coast utilizing all barley again,
Yes.
along with the crystal malt and North American ale yeast. So we'll kind of see how this kind of differs a little bit from the last kind of Kolsch. Obviously a bit of a different style, so we'll see what that kind of looks like. So it's utilizing the dry hop of Simcoe, Chinook, Centennial, and then the Amarillo. I don't know. I just feel like Amarillo skies.
Okay, Jason Aldean.
There you go. This will be bringing notes of dankness, pine, and then the rind zest. So it says.
Yes.
Okay.
We will
Actually,
see.
so Matt said.
Okay.
Matt said that.
Matt did.
So he should.
Well,
know.
you know what, Matt? I'll let you know if that's what we get.
Okay. So the beer is going to pour a copper color, dark golden with a rich off-white head.
A rich or a witch?
Rich.
All
off.
right, okay.
English is hard. Apparently, glycol. I couldn't get it right earlier.
Good
Yeah.
callback.
Yeah,
Attaboy.
you're welcome.
Clean that up nicely.
Yes. So the English language is very hard for me to get out. I'm
Yes.
like Ron Burgundy. Anything that's in front of me, I will read.
Yep.
Anyway, this is hoping that this beer will compare you back to a simpler time when IPAs were bitter and Blink 182 was huge, or maybe like American Chopper, West Coast Chopper is all you watched on TV.
It
Or
might-
like, when Jesse James was married to Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, it might also bring you back to a simpler time where there's no longer going to be, double headers that are 7 innings, which
Right.
we'll bring that up later.
Ghost runner at second base.
There you go.
All right. Well, on Untappd for this beer, there are only 5 check-ins as we record this. So we mentioned it's their newest release, so makes sense.
Yeah.
Freshest, too. This is damn fresh.
Yeah.
Is that
And
damn
because there's only 5 check-ins, there's actually no overall rating. So I guess we'll kind of...
We do have an overall rating that we kind of actually did a little math.
Oh.
on. But
Producer
it's-
Elliott, go and
yeah.
do it.
It's
Okay.
not official, but it's official for Elliott.
Right.
And that's what counts.
There it is. All right, so let's grab our glass, grab our beers, and let's open her up. All right.
Well, we are drinking this beer out of an IPA glass today, so make sure to use your proper glassware.
I like this. It's a nice pour. Everybody, how's everybody's pours?
Very nice.
None has ended up on the carpet yet, so that's good.
That's a very nice
I
pour.
think. Look at that, Brett. I think we got a very identical pour there. Mm-hmm. Chris, a little less on the head, but that's okay. So we do have that copper kind of look coming through.
Absolutely.
A little bit different than the Kolsch. Kolsch was more of that apple juiciness. And this here is more of the copper kind of color.
With that rich off-white head that you can see, probably about
Right.
2 fingers, if I measure correctly, horizontal versus vertical.
Good job.
2 fingers.
You're learning. You know what? This podcast teaches not only the listeners, but also the host. So
it's true.
It's true.
It's very true.
It's true.
Especially Brett.
Yeah. I need all the help I can get. Let's be serious.
there you go. No, but I think it's a good observation. We're talking about very condensed, tight forming of the head as well.
Yeah.
So sometimes you do see this, and I think this beer is going to lace really nicely. So maybe we take a note of that as we get halfway through.
And also, if you look at it, it kind of starts at the bottom. If you're using your proper glassware in terms of an IPA glass,
Yeah.
lighter at the bottom as it kind of continues to get up top, does get a little darker.
yeah, it's kind of like that push of the flavors and the smells through the nose, right?
Well, speaking of smells, this is very, very reminiscent of a West Coast IPA. Like I smell this, and this is exactly what I was expecting in a West Coast IPA. A little bit of kind of like citrusy / peach kind of coming through, but also that hoppiness on the nose.
And Matt did state this is kind of their play, so to speak, on the Amsterdam Bone Shaker.
Okay,
Right.
If you guys are familiar with that.
Very familiar.
And speaking of the can, now, if you guys are familiar with the West Coast Choppers logo,
Yes.
this is pretty close to copyright infringement because it is literally the West Coast Choppers logo, but instead of a C, there's an H.
Yeah. And you know, I like this stuff. I like the punniness of
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
I
me too.
I enjoy that.
It's probably not as bad as the 5A Live,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But definitely, I agree. It's a copyright infringement here.
Right.
But
I
it's
should
all
say
good.
I should say not bringing the H because choppers technically does still have an H in it.
Yeah,
Right.
You're just
you really
reducing
cut
the C out. You're cutting the C
They
out.
chopped the C.
Oh, look at you go with the punniness.
I know.
The difference between maybe this and the Bone Shaker, we don't really like to. I mean, we do compare beers a lot.
We do.
You know, more on a personal standpoint than kind of in the episode because we really like to kind of highlight what we're actually doing. But Bone Shaker is 7.1. This is a 6.3%. So they're a little bit different with that. So a little bit lighter on the alcohol content, which might mean that we're going to really kind of focus in on the flavors as we go through it. So let's start sipping, fellas.
Yeah, speaking of flavors, let's taste
Yeah,
it.
let's do that.
Oh, you're speaking of a lot of things. You know, smells,
It's true.
looks, flavors.
Anything else you'd like to speak of? Maybe talk to us about this beer.
Well, definitely has the bitterness that you would expect from a West Coast IPA.
Strong bitterness. Yeah.
In our conversation with Matt, I did ask him about the IBUs, and that's when he said that they don't really keep track of it, but he kind of estimated that it's between 60 and 75, I think he said. So that's pretty standard for a West Coast, but it's not overpoweringly bitter. You do get a little bit of that citrusiness and like kind of rindiness, which I think contributes to the bitterness as well.
I'm getting like the pine rind,
Yeah.
and then the citrus up front, and then the pine rind at the end. With the bitterness.
I'm getting strong bitter myself.
Yeah.
Like bitter heavy for me. I don't know if. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It's definitely not a light beer. It drinks heavy.
It does drink heavier. I think that the citrus kind of is a little bit subdued and kind of overpowered by maybe some of the bitterness for me. I know you talked about can art on this one. This can art is different than the big ticket and what that kind of looks like. And I'm just wondering if it's just because it's newer and they have just like slapped this label on it. But in terms of the flavor aspect of it, I do see the citrus kind of coming out a little bit. Not so much the pine portion of it. I'm not getting a whole lot of the zest, but I am getting citrus, and maybe that is contributed to the zesty portion of it. But yeah, I'm getting more of a stronger bitter kind of flavor on myself.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Top 5 flavor profiles. Should we get there?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So number 1, citrusy.
Yeah, I mean, there is citrusiness, if you will.
I guess we will.
But definitely not number 1, I don't think. And producer Elliott is saying bitter number 1.
I think that's
I would
number 1 for
agree
me.
with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So number 2, smooth.
No, I'm not really getting it.
And again, there's only been 5 check-ins, so you're kind of
Right.
getting
Yep.
people kind of just clicking certain buttons.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe from their previous beers or whatever. But I think maybe hoppy would fit here. Producer Elliott does agree with me on that one.
Yeah.
Number 3 apparently is hoppy. So we're just hopping along to hop. Elliott
Easter is coming.
Yeah, Elliott thinks zesty. Tyler, do you agree with that?
I can see zesty. I think it is probably further down the list
Okay.
myself.
4 from Untapped is bitter. We're thinking kind of move that citrus kind of down there.
I would move bitter up personally.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a very bitter beer.
Yeah, bitter, I think we said is number
number
1.
We
Yeah.
did that, yeah. And number 5, zesty. We kind of did that number 3. So producer Elliott has some suggestions like smooth, pine, which I think is involved, strong as well.
Yeah.
I think this is a strong beer at the 6.3%. I think it drinks a little bit heavier than that.
Yeah.
May not feel the same in an hour. I mean, might be able to crush a couple more of these, but
I was going to say, sometimes we have beers like IPAs, especially where it's a higher ABV and it doesn't feel like it. This is, you definitely can tell that it's 6.3 and yeah, it almost drinks a little bit more than 6.3.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one I was hoping to get a little bit more citrusiness from it.
Same here. And I
but-
think that's maybe where I'm kind of coming from too.
Yeah.
Let's kind of move this along a little bit here. So originally when we kind of looked at putting some bullet points down for the script, there was, I think, 2 reviews. And that's actually shifted now to 5 total reviews. And then we have a couple of comments. So Let's go to you, Brett. Maybe you can read out Robert's first, and then Chris, maybe you do Daniel's after, and then I'll do some of the tail end there of Daniel's.
I like how you swung Robert's review to me because there's not a whole lot of words, so I can't stumble over them.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll find a way.
Oh, yeah, I might actually. On March 9th, said, too malty. Okay, this is from Robert B. Beer Runner Rob. He gave it a 2.75.
Good job.
Yeah. The next one, comes from Daniel G. Handle is Grenin. On March 13th, said smooth, malty, hoppy, citrusy with a nice fruity bitter finish. Very easy drinking IPA. And Daniel rated it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah. So again, there was 5 total ratings on this. One of them was actually private, and so when we did the math on it, just kind of came out to the overall of 3.43 out of the 5. So that's where we kind of stand with this beer on the Untapped community. Again, super small sample size.
Yeah.
But Chris, do you want to get us started there, big guy?
Yeah. So out of 5 bottle caps, I think I'm gonna be pretty similar to the very small so far Untapped community on this beer. And I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Okay. Myself, I'm going to sit at the 3.75.
All right. And for me, I'm going to come in a little bit lower. I'm going to come in at the 2.75, similar to the Beer Runner Rob.
And Elliott is giving it a 3.0.
Perfect. So what's that give us overall there, Chris?
So overall, that gives us a 3.25 on the nose, so we do not need to worry about rounding.
Oh, thank God. That concludes the review of Farm League and the beers that were provided for today's episode.
Excellent. So coming up, we're going to actually have a discussion about baseball, and that is on deck. All right. We are into the home stretch here. This is the 9th inning. Welcome, everybody. This is a World Series kind of thing, right?
And I'm in the close.
Ooh,
Oh, that's not
game
good.
over.
That's not good.
All right, so from Farm League to the big leagues, we wanted to take a look at the new collective bargaining agreement. We know that this might be the best topic that we've ever talked about, and then also the worst topic for some of our listeners as well. So MLB did come through with a CBA recently.
Thank God.
So I think I can say for everyone that we are excited that the lockout is over 99 days, and baseball, as Chris said, is back, baby.
I'm sure some players, I heard some players were a little upset they didn't get to the 100 days.
Yeah.
But
I didn't realize Max Scherzer was over there.
Yeah, right. All right, so we'll kind of run through some of the changes and what that looks like. We're all baseball fans here, and to kind of give a little bit of a preamble to this is it's been a very difficult two plus years with everything going on. Kind of going through and planning a little bit of a bachelor party for myself with the help of Chris as well as my friend Matt. And we wanted to set up something for Pittsburgh and PNC Park, which is a beautiful ballpark, so we're told.
It is.
Excited.
And so, you know what? When this information came through, I was really happy. I was really happy with that. And
Shotgun to Bud Light, didn't you?
I did not. A big ticket, maybe. The fact that we can actually go see a ball game in person right now is huge. So from the mental health standpoint, I'm really happy that they could lock this in and do this for the fans. So the lockout officially ended at 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, March 10th, which meant free agency, trade, salary arbitration, everything could kind of happen, right?
Yep.
So we're really excited for that stuff. So the duration of that CBA is now from 2022 to 2026. And there's a little bit of a caveat in there, but the expiration of this one at least gets us to 2026. So,
Yes.
Chris,
Let's 5 more years till our next lockout.
yeah, Chris, do you want to talk about the ratification of this, and then we'll kind of go through some of the points as we do it and when we talk about it.
Yeah, so the owners voted 30-0 in favor, which is not a surprise because spoiler alert,
they made the deal.
I think this agreement heavily favors the owners.
Yep.
The players board voted 26-12 to accept the deal, which is actually interesting because the executive board, which is 8 players, voted 8-0 to decline it.
Also, did you know that they are all Scott Boras clients?
Well, not all of them.
No.
5 of the 8
5
are
of the 8.
Scott Boras. Yeah.
And then it was,
Yes.
I believe, the Yankees, Mets, Angels, and Cardinals that voted against it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not really surprising there, but it is interesting that the players, I would say, are somewhat divided in terms of the haves versus the have-nots.
Yeah, and you think as being the Astros, they said no as well.
Yes, sorry.
Even a little bit in the
Producer
hot
Elliott coming
water.
in. Astros instead of Angels.
Yeah,
My bad.
Yeah, but I mean the Astros, like you kind of screwed up things in the past. Relax,
You have cheated before.
Brett. Are we getting a full 162? Or are we dealing with here?
We get a full 162. Thank the good Lord. Obviously, I'm just going to use the Jays as an example. They're losing out in 3 games against the Rays and 3 games against the Orioles. Now they're going to be made up in double headers.
So they're not lost.
No, they're not lost now, but it's going to be scheduled doubleheaders and off days throughout the season.
Yeah, we talked about
it
that
does
a little
help
bit.
at least for the Jays that it's 2 teams that they play very regularly versus other teams that maybe might have to have an interleague squad that they'll
Right.
And they are expanding 3 days in
Yes.
October
Yeah. And
past this. I think it's the 2nd or 3rd.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the doubleheaders in a bit, but like spring training, even as we sit here recording it, like players are showing up, right?
A lot of players aren't even signed yet as we record.
I also
this.
think a lot of players knew it was happening this week, so they kind of got their travel
They were
planned
all-
and whatnot, and they were
Yeah.
ready to go, right?
And MLB set up that like kind of like quasi like training
it's-
facility.
it's
Like,
true.
if you
Right.
want to show up to do this, right? So, yeah, I think games are starting March 17th or 18th, depending on what you look at. And I think a lot start on the 17th. The Jays, I believe, start on the 18th, which is good. It's good to see. It's nice to be back.
Yeah.
Chris, you and I took a trip out to Florida for spring training. And
We
it was
did down to Dunedin. Yeah.
quite an experience, right? Like,
It was a good time.
oh my God. Thank you so much.
Spring training is just so chill.
Yeah. Like the fact that you can talk to the players in a
Yeah.
different kind of capacity than like when you get to Rogers Center and you're in the regular season, it's like, no, this is what you get, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's be
So-
serious. There'd be no other reason to go to Dunedin besides spring training, right?
There's a lot of reasons actually. This was a really good spot. Extended playoffs.
Yes, so the owners wanted 14, but in the end they agreed to 12 because originally there was 10.
Right.
So now there's going to be 3 division winners and 3 wildcard teams in each league, which I believe does favor the Blue Jays because if it was last year, they would have been in.
Absolutely.
And I think they would have went on and run and won the damn thing. Anyway, so the top 2 division winners in each league will receive a bye for the wildcard round. And unlike single elimination games with the wildcard in the past, now the remaining 4 teams per league will play a best of 3.
Right.
The 3rd division winner will be the highest seed in that group, with other clubs sorted by their win-loss record.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of
Which
that?
is interesting because now the two, there's always been kind of a hesitancy in MLB to have a bye because in Major League Baseball, you're used to playing every day. And so
Right.
now the top 2 teams are kind of going to be sitting around for, potentially 5 days. Right.
I'm pretty sure that the best of 3 is in the same ballpark. They're not doing a 1-1-1. I'm pretty sure it's at the home seat
At
ballpark.
the home one, yeah.
And then, so no more tiebreaker games, right? So in the past, we
Right.
had the identical records. If that was the case, then we did 162 in the division, would play the game 163. So a tiebreaker now is gone. So now MLB will now follow a system more closely aligned with the NFL. So does anybody want to kind of talk about what that looks like?
This is the only thing I disagree with. This year, I understand because you're expanding the season by 3 days, and you got to kind of cram everything in because you still want to keep those World Series dates. I get that. Past that, if let's say, for example, if the Jays lose out this year because they didn't win enough games against the Yankees, I'm going to be super, super pissed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Chris, why don't you take the next one there?
Yeah,
Let's talk about this one a little bit, too.
This is a godsend. Universal DH. Like, nobody wants to see National League pitchers.
I wish it was the other way around. I wish it was both American and National League.
Okay,
have the
well,
pitchers bat.
that's a disgrace.
So I figured this would be a little bit of a talking point.
Like,
So go ahead.
nobody wants to see a pitcher hit 100. Like,
I do.
We just don't.
I do.
So I enjoyed the fact that there was a difference between the AL and the NL. I enjoyed that.
But what... I don't know why that matters.
The only thing this benefits is Nelson Cruz.
Yeah.
Because he gets
Nelson
another
Cruz
3
rule.
years because he can DH and
No, it
Pittsburgh, for God's sakes.
It benefits the fans because they don't have to watch a pitcher try to bunt and fail miserably.
But you know what?
Hey,
Like, that's why.
do better, be better.
So this is kind of why I enjoyed the difference between the two, is that in the NL, it's no surprise. I'm a small ball kind of guy, and I do enjoy the fact that like you have to be able to bunt. If you're going to be a pitcher in there, you don't have to be a lost spot in the 9 hole.
No, because I want my pitchers to pitch. I don't want my pitchers to try to hit or try to bunt.
But that's the beauty of it, right? You have that in the AL. Give me what I want in the NL. I'm not saying you have to have everything.
No.
Why do you have to have everything, Chris?
I'm a big fan of universal DH.
Well, and that makes one of the three.
You want to know what I'm not a big fan of? Banning the shift.
No, I'm a big fan of that.
Oh my!
It's not baseball. I've been speaking from a person who gets shifted on more than I'd like to be because I'm a left-handed hitter who pulls a lot, and I've had 3 people just bunt down the third base line.
So you're saying banning the shift is not baseball. So in 2000 before 2010 when nobody was shifting, that was not baseball?
It was baseball, but let me tell you, Joey Gallo all of a sudden becomes way more popular because there's only two guys on the left side of the infield besides plus 3 guys, right?
Yeah.
Like Joey Gallo's average is going to go up. Pardon my French there, but 40 points.
Everything is catered towards attracting people to be interested in the game.
The shift attracts people.
Casual fans absolutely hate the shift, right?
I disagree. I think if you're a traditional baseball fan, you appreciate the shift.
Yeah, but casual fan, they don't care about traditional because traditional will come no matter what. Casual fans have to get interested in the game.
Yeah. Casual fans get more interested in it to know that the shift should be part of the game.
This is what I love. And we'll probably, hopefully, if we talk to Elliott here, post some of these questions on our Instagram so that way you can chime in as well. I think it's a very interesting debate. There's a couple other things I'm just going to kind of roll through here. So just for the sake of time, sponsor patches and helmet decals. Clubs are now going to be allowed to reach out to their own sponsorship deals. And maybe this is part of the reason why the Sky Dome, I'm going to call it as it is, the Sky Dome has expanded their outdoor or their video board. And they've removed some of their sponsors from there because maybe they can get those sponsors now on a patch or a helmet.
I mean,
or
this just makes sense. Every other league is doing this,
exactly.
So why not?
I'm okay with that.
We have seen an increase in minimum salaries from $129,500 from 2001 to $700,000 in 2022.
I think it was $529,000.
This is the information.
2021.
This is the information that I got.
He's talking 2001.
Yeah, no, this is the information that I found on there. So, again, there's probably a bit of a discrepancy. So, $700,000 to $780,000, it pays the players. Which is nice.
I mean, this for people like us is a big deal. For them, it's not really a big deal.
Yeah, I think the bonus breakdown's a little bit different too, right? So if you get an MVP, Cy Young, you get some money. You get a runner-up, you get this kind of money. And there's now a pool of money that's out there. So anything that's not claimed by these individuals, based on what they get, is it's actually going to be distributed to the top 100 individuals, rookies, pre-arbitration, defined by the WAR system.
Yeah, see, this is the kind of thing that has caused issues in the NBA, where people's salaries are tied to results in all NBA teams. Right. These are voted on by media, and they're basically deciding how much players earn. I don't like it at all.
And so I'm glad that you mentioned that because some of the media have said, you know what, I don't have the right to do this. And have actually abstained from their vote.
Right, now, but that hurts them as well, right?
No, for sure. So let's say, hypothetically, if we look at the NL Cy Young Award winner Corbin Burns last year, right, he would have got $608,000. His salary would have jumped to $4.2 million last year. Now, while the Rookie of the Year winners like Rainier Rosarena and Jonathan India would have seen their respective salaries more than triple. So it is an incentive to go out there and play the best that you can possibly play. But I agree that some of that voting aspect from the writers, the Baseball Writers Association, should be kind of.
You look at a guy like Jason Tatum in the NBA for the Celtics. Last year, he missed the third team All NBA by a couple votes, and he lost out on $30 million because of that. So,
Brett, where are we going to be doing some tours here? This is. I find this exciting because you want to spread baseball throughout the world. Where are we going?
I mean, they've been to a couple of these places before, obviously, but Mexico, Asia, Puerto Rico. London,
Ontario.
Yes, playing at Labatt Park.
Yeah,
Paris, and obviously Dominican Republic. They've played in Puerto Rico, but the downfall of the Expos and everything like that. But we won't get into that story today. A couple other changes. So in 2023, the teams are going to play a more balanced regular schedule with all teams playing the other 29 in at least one series. Obviously, with the universal DH being involved, it's kind of more similar.
Thank God, because I am sick of playing each division team 6 series.
Right.
Like,
I agree.
That's ridiculous.
It wouldn't surprise me if before maybe the next CBA that instead of divisions, it's literally just 15 here, 15 here, and the top 6.
Yep.
Make,
Yeah.
make,
Whatever that
make
looks
it, right? Also, the parties have agreed to continue the 26-man roster limit, 28 in September, with a limit of 13 pitchers on the roster and 14 in September. I honestly think that might be, you might see 28 in April too, just because of the short time frame to switch over.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised with that.
Cool.
And then also the flexibility on the MLB trade deadline is on a date between July 28th and August 3rd. So it always used to be July 31st. There might be some flexibility when it comes to that.
They probably want to have it on a weekday. That's
For sure.
why.
And just so you know, I've closed it out. I got the save.
I was just going to say touch them all, Joe, but
Touch them all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
there you go. All right, we'll be back with our goodbyes, and we are for sure interested in what your opinions are on this matter as well. All right, that's the game, folks. So for today's episode, we are done. We are out of here.
We
Hit the
are.
showers, kids.
No doubleheader today, boys. Sorry.
Hit the
No,
showers.
that's game over. No extras either. Thanks again for listening. Keep on listening every other Thursday as Craft Beer Connoisseurs releases a new episode, and on our off Thursdays for a producer special.
Make sure to tell your friends, family, and your favorite Scott Boris client, because when dealing with him, they're going to need some beers.
Yeah. So from all of us and producer Elliott, I'm Tyler.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Chris, and together we're the Craft Beer Connoisseurs.